So for lesson 1.1.1, the lesson essential question was how do we use data to investigate a linear model? Again, review of Algebra 2. You did this a lot of times in Algebra 2. The days of doing what you just did are over. Okay, so what do I mean by that? What are we going to do differently? Well, we're going to use technology, a resource that will give us the best answer every time. Okay, so first of all, turn your calculator on. All right, now when you want to get a least squares regression line, which is what we're doing here, linear regression, okay, what you need to do is push the stat button. It's right about the middle of your calculator. And we're going to edit. So go ahead and enter over edit. And it's going to give you a bunch of lists. Your list might be empty. They might have numbers in it. Mine have numbers in them. Okay? To delete anything from your list, use the up arrow to highlight the actual list number. Hit the clear button. And then hit enter. And it'll clear anything in your list. Let me go over that again. To delete something from a list, use your arrows to highlight the list number. Hit the clear button and hit enter. And everything in your list will be cleared. Now how are we going to use this function? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to type our x values into L1. And we're going to type our y values into L2. Okay? So your distance from the wall should be in L1. Your width of view should be in L2. Everybody got it? Okay? Tosh, read yours off to me.
0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 35, and 50.
Y values?
4, 8, 12, 15, 18, 25, 12, 15.
Good. Make sure you hit enter after each number. That is what actually stores it into the list. Everybody ready? Ready? Okay. Second, quit. Quit's right next to it. Takes us back to our home screen. All right? Now, something I want you to do real quick before we go further. This is something you have no idea what it means, but I'm just going to share a little tidbit with you. I want you to push second and catalog, which is the 0 button. It's all the way down here at the bottom. And it brings up the catalog of everything this calculator can do. And I want you to go to the D's. So if you push the letter D, which is right here in green, right underneath the math key, push D. That'll skip down to the D section. Or you could use your down arrow and scroll forever. And I want you to find the word diagnostic on. Okay? Diagnostic on. And I want you to hit enter. And that'll bring that up on your screen. And then hit enter again. It'll say done. I'll explain why later. Now, that has nothing to do with finding the line, the equation of the line, okay? I just want to let you know that. That's something for down the road. Push stat. This time go over to calculate. So use your right arrow to go to calculate. Okay? We're going to choose linear regression, ax plus b. That looks a lot like what equation? mx plus b. Yeah, sure, okay. Is linear regression the only kind of regression we can do? No, there's lots. We can do quadratic, we can do exponential, we can do logarithmic, okay? We can do cubic. We're going to do linear today. So linear regression. Now we have to tell the calculator where to look. Okay, so first we type in our x values, which was in list 1, right? So second, L1. L1 is above the 1 key. Comma. Did you know your calculator had a comma on it? It's right above the 7. And then second, L2. Comma. L1 and L2 are above the 1 and the 2 keys. Now, we want to take that equation, we want to store it somewhere. Where are we going to store it? We're going to store it in the Y1, so that way we can graph it. So I want you to push the vars button. I want you to scroll over to yvars, function, and select Y1. I know that's a lot. Vars, yvars, function Y1. Then hit enter. And it gives us, okay? So we have A, 0.195. So our slope is 0.195, which is really close to 1/5, right? 0.2 is 1/5. How many groups had 1/5 for their slope? Perfect. That means you're doing well, okay? And our B value, our y-intercept, is 4.23, which for most of you, the diameter of your tube was about 4 centimeters, right? So that's the equation of our line. 0.195x plus 4.23. That is exactly correct. That is 100% correct. That is the most accurate equation line. Your answer is not better than that answer. I want you to know that. I'll tell you why later. Okay, it has to do with something called a residual. Okay? Now, what does the graph look like? How do we go about graphing that? Okay, here we go. Second, stat plot, which is right above y equals. And let's go into plot 1. So hit enter. And we want to turn it on. So hit enter over top of the on. And then everything else should stay the same. You see here you have a lot of options. We have scatter plot, which is already selected. You have histogram, which is like a bar graph. And you also have box and whisker plots. Okay, but we're going to keep it with the scatter plot, okay? Now, second, quit. Again. And now we want to graph it. But if you just hit graph, your calculator gives you a standard 10 by 10 window. Will our graph fit into a 10 by 10 window? No, it will not. Okay, so I need to know what to count by. So go to window, my x minimum. What's the lowest x value I could possibly have here? 0. What about my x maximum? What's the farthest distance from the wall that we stood? Okay, Tosh's group did 100. Any other groups did something farther? Maybe it's 200, 300, I don't know, okay? So I'm just going to do 200 for this one. And then what do you want to count by? I don't want to count by 1s. It's going to give me 100 little marks on there. So maybe I'll count by 10s. And then my y minimum, what's the lowest y value I could have? 0, because I'm not going to have a negative width. And then what's the highest y value I had? Maybe 25 or so. Okay? And then hit graph. And voila, you get a scatter plot with a line. Exactly what you just spent probably half an hour doing. Now I know that seems like a lot of steps, but once you do it a few times, it becomes like anything else. It's real quick and much more accurate than anything you're going to be able to do by hand. Okay? Anybody have any questions? Least squares regression. We'll review it again. I'm not expecting you to know that the first time you see it. You can watch the video tonight. The video that you're listening to right now. Deja vu. Okay? To go through the whole process again if you wanted to. Anybody have any questions? Okay.